Hello guys, welcome to Tales by Felix, where every story opens the door to a new world. Don't forget to subscribe, it truly means the world to us. Now, let's begin. The mansion glowed like a palace on the hill, its white marble walls reflecting the morning sun. Imported cars lined the driveway, sleek machines worth more than entire neighborhoods. Chandeliers sparkled through the vast glass windows, hinting at the luxury within. To the world, Damian Cole was the perfect man. A billionaire with charm, power, and influence that bent politicians and tycoons alike to his will. But inside the fortress of wealth, behind closed doors and locked emotions, another story festered. In the grand dining hall, Damian's fork clinked against his golden plate as he savored his breakfast. His wife, Ilara, sat opposite him in silence. Her wheelchair, parked slightly to the side, seemed out of place against the expensive Persian rug. Damian didn't look at her. He rarely did anymore. "You're not eating," he said flatly, without raising his eyes. Ilara's gaze lowered. "I don't have much of an appetite." He chuckled, cold and humorless. "Of course. That's all you do these days. Sit there. Watch. Breathe. A wife who can't even walk beside me." The sting in his voice sliced through her, but she remained calm, her fingers brushing the armrest of her chair. "I may not walk, Damian," she said softly, "but I still have a heart." Damian dropped his fork and leaned back. "A heart doesn't close deals, Ilara. A heart doesn't make billions. Look at me. I am the man every other envies. And look at you." His eyes finally met hers, cold and piercing. "A burden." Silence drowned the room. Ilara's chest tightened, but she refused to let her tears fall. Somewhere deep inside her, a fire flickered, small, fragile, but alive. Later that evening, Damian sat with his friends by the infinity pool, glasses of champagne in hand. The city's lights shimmered below like fallen stars. "She's still in that chair, huh?" one of his business partners sneered, swirling his drink. Damian smirked. "Where else would she be? That chair is her throne. Except it makes me look weak." They laughed, the sound echoing against the marble walls. "Divorce her," another suggested. "Too messy," Damian replied. "The tabloids will eat me alive, and half my wealth will vanish. No. I need a cleaner solution." "What then?" Damian's lips curled into a cruel smile. "Tomorrow, I'll take her out. Somewhere public. Somewhere she doesn't belong. And I'll leave her there. No papers. No scandal. Just gone." His friends roared with laughter, raising their glasses to toast his wicked genius. Inside, Ilara heard everything. She had rolled her chair to the hallway, her hands trembling as she listened. Her heart pounded in disbelief. The man she once loved was planning to discard her like trash. She pressed a hand to her chest, whispering to herself, "God, give me strength." The following morning, Damian put on his best smile, pretending to be the perfect husband. "Ilara, darling," he said with mock warmth, "let's go for a drive. You've been cooped up too long." Her stomach turned, but she said nothing. She allowed him to push her wheelchair to the car, his hands firm yet indifferent. The city was alive that morning. Horns blaring, vendors shouting, the aroma of spices and roasted corn thick in the air. Damian pulled up to the busiest marketplace in the city, where thousands of people bustled about, bargaining, buying, surviving. "This is it," he muttered, parking the car. "Damian, why here?" Ilara asked, her voice thin with fear. He stepped out, walked around, and opened her door. With practiced ease, he pulled out her wheelchair and helped her down. The shoppers stared, curious at the sight of a billionaire's expensive car in their poor market. "Because this is where you belong," Damian whispered into her ear. Her breath caught. "Damian, please." But he didn't let her finish. He pushed her chair into the middle of the crowd, turned without another word, and walked back to his car. The engine roared to life. "Damian! Damian!" Her voice cracked, desperation flooding her throat. She stretched her hands toward him, but the car sped off, leaving nothing but a trail of dust. The crowd murmured. "Did he just leave her here? Poor woman! A billionaire wife abandoned like this." Ilara sat frozen, the humiliation pressing down on her like 1,000 stones. Her heart felt ripped from her chest, yet her face remained calm. Her tears, however, betrayed her, streaming silently down her cheeks. The sun beat down mercilessly. Hours passed. People walked by, some pitying her, some shaking their heads. Children whispered, pointing at the woman in the wheelchair with the hollow eyes. An old woman approached her, dropping a coin in her lap. "Here, child. Buy yourself something to eat." Ilara looked at the coin. The insult burned. She wasn't a beggar, at least, not yet. But she took the coin and closed her fist around it. A group of young men laughed as they passed. "So this is the billionaire's wife. Left here like a dog. What a sight." Ilara turned her face away, her chest heaving, but she did not respond. She refused to give them the satisfaction. Her silence was heavy, filled with the weight of betrayal. But beneath the pain, something stirred, like a lion waking in chains. She whispered to herself, "He thinks I will break. He thinks this chair defines me. But he is wrong." As dusk painted the sky with shades of orange and purple, a fruit seller approached. His stall was small, just a table of mangoes and oranges, but his eyes were kind. "You've been here all day," he said gently. "No food. No water. Are you all right?" Ilara looked up, her lips trembling. For the first time that day, she saw compassion. I don't know where to go," she admitted. The man nodded, setting down a ripe mango in her lap. "Eat. You need strength. My name is Karim." She stared at the fruit, then at him. "Why are you helping me?" Karim smiled faintly. "Because once, I too was left with nothing. A stranger helped me. Now, it is my turn." Her throat tightened. She peeled the mango slowly, juice dripping down her fingers. It was the sweetest thing she had ever tasted, not because of its flavor, but because it was offered with kindness. As she ate, Karim leaned closer. "If you don't mind, you can stay near my stall tomorrow. I could use help with sales. And maybe, you could use a friend." Ilara blinked, the tears in her eyes different this time, not of pain, but of hope. "Thank you," she whispered. That night, as the market closed and shadows fell, Ilara sat quietly beside Karim's stall. For the first time since Damian abandoned her, she didn't feel completely alone. And deep inside, a flame began to burn brighter. The next morning, the marketplace buzzed with life, vendors shouting their prices, customers haggling, children darting between stalls. Karim's fruit table stood modest among them, but today, a new presence drew attention: Ilara, seated in her wheelchair beside the stall. She felt the eyes on her. Some pitied her, others mocked. But Karim ignored them and handed her a basket of oranges. "Think you can help me count and sort?" he asked, his tone respectful, not pitying. She blinked. "You'd trust me with your goods?" Karim smiled. "Why not? Your eyes are sharper than mine. Besides, I saw the way you looked at my display yesterday, like you already knew it could be better." Her lips twitched. "Well, the mangoes should be at the front. They're the brightest, they'll draw attention first. Then the cheaper fruits to the side, so people buy more without thinking." Karim chuckled. "You sound like a merchant already." For the first time in days, Ilara laughed, soft, uncertain, but real. When customers came, she surprised herself. Her voice, once timid, rang out strong. "Fresh mangoes. Sweet like honey. Taste before you buy." The crowd shifted. People who ignored Karim's stall yesterday now stopped. Some bought out of curiosity. How often do you see a woman in a wheelchair selling fruit with such fire? By afternoon, their stall was nearly empty. Karim stared at the baskets, stunned. This has never happened." Ilara looked at him, a spark in her eyes. "Then tomorrow, we do it again. Better." And in her heart, she whispered, "Damian thought he left me broken. But I am just beginning." Word spread quickly. The market had seen many traders, but none like her, the disabled woman with the sharp tongue and sharper mind. On the third day, a group of vendors approached her stall. One, a stout woman selling spices, folded her arms. "I've been here 10 years, and I've never sold out before noon." "How did you do it?" Ilara met her gaze steadily. "Presentation. Position. Words. Selling is not just about goods, it's about the story you tell. The spice seller narrowed her eyes. Then tell me mine. Ilara studied the baskets of spices, messy, mismatched, dull. She reached over, rearranging them. Color is your weapon. Red chili first, turmeric beside it, coriander last. Group them like fire to gold. And don't just say, spices. Tell them, these are flavors to turn a poor man's stew into a king's feast. The woman blinked. King's feast, eh? The next day, that spice stall sold more than it had in weeks. Soon, other vendors came. A fishmonger. A tailor. Even the grumpy old cobbler. They all wanted her advice. Karim watched, astonished. Ilara, you're changing this market. But she only smiled faintly, her mind racing. If I can change a market, what else can I change? One evening, as lanterns flickered and vendors packed up, Karim sat beside Ilara on an overturned crate. You've got something rare, he said. She tilted her head. What do you mean? A brain that sees patterns where others see chaos. Strategy. You're not just helping people sell, you're rewriting the rules. Ilara stared at the ground, her heart heavy. Damian never saw it. To him, I was just broken. Karim leaned forward, voice firm. Then prove him wrong. Don't let his blindness define you. She looked up, tears glimmering in her eyes. What if I fail? Then fail trying. But I think you'll fly instead. That night, she couldn't sleep. Memories of Damian's cruel laughter gnawed at her. But Karim's words lit something stronger, a belief she had buried under years of humiliation. The next morning, she gathered a group of vendors. Listen, she began, her voice steady, we are not just sellers. We are a marketplace. Alone, we're weak. Together, we can dominate. They exchanged glances, skeptical. But Ilara continued. We will set prices together, protect each other from cheats, and make this market the one everyone in the city wants to visit. Who's with me? Slowly, hands rose. First one. Then another. Then all. A new alliance was born that day, led by the woman Damian abandoned. Weeks passed. The transformation was staggering. The once disorganized market now thrived with coordinated stalls, eye-catching displays, and unified prices. Shoppers flocked daily, drawn by the vibrant energy. At the center of it all sat Ilara, in her wheelchair, directing with calm authority. Children ran to her, carrying messages between vendors. Traders sought her approval before launching new ideas. Even customers began calling her by a new name, Madam Chair. Karim grinned one evening as he counted coins. Look at you. A queen without a crown. Ilara smiled, though her eyes glistened. Funny. Damian once told me I was a burden. Now, I carry an entire market. News traveled beyond the market. Local newspapers picked up the story of the disabled woman who revived a dying marketplace. Pictures of her, smiling among vendors, began circulating. Damian's friends, sipping champagne at their club, scoffed at the headlines. Surely this is exaggerated, one muttered. But Damian said nothing. He clenched the paper in his fist, unease gnawing at him. It was inevitable. One morning, a journalist arrived with cameras and microphones. She approached Ilara as the market bustled behind her. Mrs. Cole. Ilara stiffened at the name. I no longer go by that, she said firmly. Call me Ilara. The journalist smiled. Ilara, the world wants to hear your story. How did you turn this place into the city's most successful market? A crowd gathered, silent with anticipation. Ilara's voice trembled at first, but then grew strong. I was abandoned here. By someone who thought I had no value. But what he called weakness became my strength. I saw what others ignored. And I built not just for myself, but for everyone who believed they were too small to matter. The journalist's eyes widened. So what do you say to those watching who feel broken or discarded? Ilara turned to the camera, her gaze piercing. I say, you are not what they call you. You are what you choose to rise and become. Disability is not inability. Betrayal is not the end. The world will try to break you, But you must refuse to break. Applause erupted from the crowd. Vendors cheered, customers clapped, children waved. Tears shone in Kareem's eyes as he whispered, "Ilara, you've just changed everything." That night, her interview aired nationwide. Within hours, she became a symbol of resilience and power. The woman Damian abandoned was now on every screen, every headline, every heart. And in his mansion, Damian sat alone in the dark, watching her face on the television. His hands trembled around his glass of whiskey. "My God," he muttered. "What have I done?" Damian Cole sat in the grand hall of the International Business Conference, surrounded by men in tailored suits and women in glittering gowns. The stage's LED screen shifted, flashing through highlights of Rising Entrepreneurs of the Year. He smirked, sipping his wine. This was his territory, his empire, until the next name appeared. Ilara James. The screen lit up with her face, the same woman he had dumped in the market weeks ago. Her wheelchair shone beneath the spotlight, but her posture was regal, her smile radiant. A video montage played, Ilara in the marketplace, vendors laughing beside her, customers flooding in, her interview broadcast on national TV. Damian's grip on his glass tightened until it nearly shattered. Whispers filled the room. "Isn't that Damian's wife?" "No, ex-wife. Rumor is, he left her. And now she's making headlines. Poetic, isn't it?" A businessman leaned toward Damian. "You didn't tell us she was this brilliant." Damian forced a smile, masking the rage boiling inside him. On stage, Ilara's voice filled the hall. "I was left in a marketplace to wither. Instead, I chose to grow. My success is not built on pity, it's built on strategy, resilience, and the power of unity." Thunderous applause shook the hall. Cameras flashed. Investors scribbled notes. Damian sank lower in his chair, bile rising in his throat. How dare she? But deep inside, another thought clawed at him. What if she surpasses me? Days later, Damian stormed into his boardroom. His executives sat stiffly, eyes avoiding his glare. "Why," he snapped, slamming the newspaper on the table, "is Ilara on the front page instead of me?" The headline screamed. From abandoned wife to market queen, Ilara James is the future of business. One executive cleared his throat. "Sir, investors are fascinated by her. She's got a grassroots empire. Low risk, high growth. They're, shifting their interest." "Shifting?" Damian barked. "My empire is worth billions. Hers is a glorified flea market." Another executive spoke cautiously. "With respect, sir, she's franchising. Small vendors across the country are adopting her model. She's spreading fast." Damian's jaw tightened. His empire, built on steel and oil, suddenly felt outdated beside her colorful, bustling marketplace. Later, in his office, he poured himself a drink, staring out at the city skyline. "She was supposed to be broken," he muttered. "She was supposed to vanish. But instead, she was rising, and every inch she climbed pushed him further down." The invitation arrived at Ilara's modest apartment one morning. A letter embossed with gold. Kareem wheeled it over to her. "Looks important." Ilara opened it, her eyes widening. It was from Global Mart International, one of the largest retail chains in the world. They wanted to partner with her, expand her market model into hundreds of cities. Her hands trembled. This is massive." Kareem grinned. "Told you. You're bigger than you think." Days later, Ilara attended the signing ceremony at a five-star hotel. Cameras flashed as she rolled onto the stage. The CEO of Global Mart shook her hand. "We are honored to partner with you, Ilara. Your vision is revolutionary." The audience erupted in applause. But in the back row, a shadow lurked. Damian, his face twisted in fury, watched as contracts were signed. Investors who once fought for his attention now rushed to congratulate Ilara. One turned to him with a smug grin. "Looks like your ex-wife just outbid you." Damian's knuckles turned white. When Ilara left the stage, Damian cornered her in the hallway. "Ilara," he hissed. She turned slowly, calm, almost amused. "Damian, you think you can embarrass me like this?" Build an empire from scraps. His voice cracked with desperation. This is my world, not yours. Elara tilted her head. Funny, the world doesn't seem to agree. And with that, she wheeled past him, cameras still flashing, leaving Damian standing in the shadows of her light. Elara's empire exploded. Within months, her market model spread across the country. Small-time traders became thriving entrepreneurs under her mentorship. Families that once struggled now flourished. News outlets hailed her as the people's billionaire. Documentaries aired about her journey. Children studied her in schools. Songs were written about Madam Chair. Kareem, ever by her side, marveled at the change. Elara, you've built more than a business. You've built a movement. But Damian's world crumbled. Investors pulled out. Stocks plummeted. His name, once synonymous with success, became a punchline. One night, as Elara gave a speech at a packed stadium, Damian sat alone in his mansion. Empty glasses littered the table, and the once bustling halls echoed with silence. On the giant screens in the stadium, Elara declared, "I was once told I was a burden. Today, I carry nations." The crowd roared, chanting her name. And Damian, watching on television, whispered bitterly, "That should have been me." Damian was desperate. One morning, he marched into the courthouse, cameras flashing as he filed a lawsuit against Elara. "She used my money," he told reporters. "Everything she has belongs to me." The news spread like wildfire. Critics buzzed. Was Elara's empire really hers? The courtroom was packed on trial day. Damian's lawyers painted her as a fraud, claiming she had stolen from his accounts before he abandoned her. Elara sat quietly, dignified in her chair. When her turn came, she wheeled to the front, her voice steady. "Your Honor, I came to the market with nothing but the clothes on my back. No money. No friends. No husband. The very man accusing me today abandoned me in a wheelchair, in the middle of strangers, like trash. Every coin I earned after that was through my own mind, my own work, and the hands of the people who believed in me." She opened a folder of documents, bank records, contracts, interviews, all proving her wealth came after Damian's betrayal. The courtroom gasped. The judge's gavel struck. Case dismissed. All assets remain with Elara James. The crowd erupted. Journalists rushed forward. Damian slumped in his chair, sweat dripping down his temples. He had lost, not just in court, but in the eyes of the world. As Elara wheeled past him, she paused. Her eyes met his, calm and unflinching. "You once told me I was worthless, Damian. Today, you stand in ruins while I rise. Remember this, power built on cruelty never lasts." Damian's lips trembled, but no words came. Cameras flashed, capturing his humiliation for eternity. Damian Cole once commanded boardrooms with the snap of his fingers. Now, he sat in a dimly lit bar, the ice in his glass melting faster than his empire. His mansion was half empty. Staff had quit when salaries went unpaid. His business towers, once glowing at night like beacons, now stood with "for sale" banners draped across them. On television screens above the bar, Elara's radiant face appeared again. She was cutting the ribbon at the launch of her 50th franchise market. The patrons cheered. "That's our Queen Elara," someone shouted. Damian gritted his teeth, slamming his glass on the counter. "She's nothing without me," he muttered. The bartender leaned over, unimpressed. "Funny. From where I'm standing, she looks like everything without you." The laughter in the bar drowned out Damian's rage. He stormed out, stumbling into the rain, his expensive suit clinging to him like a shroud. For the first time, he felt what Elara once did, alone, unwanted, discarded. But unlike her, he had no resilience, no compassion, no plan. Only bitterness. It was fate that brought him back to the very market where it all began. Weeks of debt had stripped him of dignity. His car was gone, his mansion seized, his clothes pawned. The billionaire who once abandoned his wife in the marketplace now stood there himself, empty-handed. The vendors recognized him instantly. "Isn't that Damian Cole? The one who dumped Elara here? Now look at him, begging in the same place." Children threw pebbles at his shoes, laughing. The fishmonger shouted, "Need a chair, Damian? We've got the same one you left your wife in." Damian's face burned. He wanted to scream, to lash out, but hunger gnawed louder than pride. He staggered to a fruit stall, the very one that had once belonged to Kareem. "Please," he whispered, "just one mango. I'll pay later." The vendor crossed his arms. "Funny. That's exactly what Elara said you'd do. Crawl back here." Laughter erupted around him. Damian stumbled back, shame crushing him. For the first time in his life, he tasted the humiliation he had once fed to others. A hush fell over the market as a familiar figure approached. Elara. Her wheelchair rolled smoothly across the cobblestones, her presence commanding silence. She was no longer just Madam Chair. She was a legend in the flesh, draped in a simple but elegant dress, eyes steady, face glowing with quiet power. Damian froze, his breath catching. "Elara." The vendor stepped aside, eager to watch what would unfold. She stopped in front of him, her gaze piercing. "I never thought I'd see you here. Like this." His lips trembled. I need help." The crowd jeered, but Elara raised her hand, silencing them. She turned back to Damian, her voice calm. "Do you remember this place? Do you remember leaving me here to rot?" Damian's face contorted with shame. "I was a fool. Please, Elara, just one chance. One chance to make it right." The crowd waited for her vengeance. For her to spit in his face. For her to walk away and let him starve. But instead, Elara reached into her bag and pulled out a loaf of bread. She handed it to him. Damian's hands shook as he took it, tears welling in his eyes. "You, after everything I did, why?" Her voice softened, though her eyes stayed firm. "Because when I was abandoned, one man gave me food when I had none. Kareem. That act of kindness saved me. Today, I choose to do the same, even for the man who broke me. That is the difference between us, Damian. Compassion." The crowd gasped. Then applause erupted, louder than the marketplace had ever heard. Damian sank to his knees, sobbing into the bread, while Elara turned away, not defeated, but victorious in the most profound way. Within hours, videos of the scene flooded social media. Millions watched as the once cruel billionaire knelt in the market, fed by the very woman he abandoned. Headlines exploded across the globe. Market Queen shows mercy to fallen tycoon. Elara James, the woman who chose compassion over revenge. Comment sections overflowed with awe. She's the real billionaire, rich in heart. I've never seen such strength. Damian deserved worse, but she gave him grace. Elara's story transcended borders. Invitations poured in, from universities, governments, humanitarian organizations. She wasn't just a market queen anymore. She was a symbol of resilience, forgiveness, and hope. At one conference, a little girl in a wheelchair rolled up to her, eyes wide. "Miss Elara, my classmates laugh at me. But now, I tell them one day, I'll be like you." Elara leaned down, holding the girl's hand. "Don't wait for one day. You already are like me. Strong." The room erupted in tears and applause. Months later, Elara stood before the largest crowd she had ever faced. A global forum, televised live to millions. Flags from every nation hung behind her. Leaders sat in the front row, waiting for her words. She looked out, breathing deeply. Memories flooded her, the mansion, the abandonment, the tears, Kareem's mango, the market, the rise, Damian's downfall. And then she began. "I was once told I was a burden. I was left in a marketplace like trash. But instead of breaking, I chose to rise. I built with my hands, with my mind, and with the people who believed in me. And I learned this: disability is not inability. Betrayal is not the end. What you do after being broken, that is what makes history." Thunderous applause erupted, rolling like thunder across the hall. She raised her hand, silencing the crowd for one final sentence. "And to the ones who are cast aside, forgotten, or mocked, remember this: you are not what they call you. You are what you decide to become." The crowd rose in a standing ovation, tears streaming, voices chanting her name. "Elara! Elara! Elara!" As the lights dimmed and the applause thundered on, the camera zoomed in on her face. Calm, strong, unshakable. She was no longer the wife abandoned in a market. She was the woman who turned pain into power. The woman who left the world speechless. The end.